And we are live. What's up, creative community? What's up, actors, performers, entertainers? Once again, this is Lorenzo from the COACHMC Studio, and this is the place where we'll help you to shape unique behavior deliveries and where we'll help you to get recognized in the audition room. And I'm truly pumped you're joining this live session today, where I'm going to answer all of your questions, all of your comments, all of your thoughts, where we're going to exchange with each other, chat a little bit. It's so great to expand our craft, to expand our knowledge, to get more and more to know each other, to expand our networks, and to get to know maybe some different people and to start thinking about different things. And in today's video and this live session, I'm going to discuss some fundamental points on how to thrive as an actor, how to thrive in entertainment industry, what things you need to avoid, what kind of mistakes you can avoid, what kind of errors you need to exclude out of your system to really become successful and focused. And yeah, with that perseverance to go onward, to really looking at your path, at your route, at your street, at the way that you want to go down and say, this is my way, this is my road. I want to go down this road. I want to be successful with that. I want to, take a stand and stand for something and be accountable for what I do. So stop avoiding the mistakes that we're talking about today. Start getting more responsible about your actions, more accountable, but also I think more clear about what you want to achieve and more self-assured about what your product actually tells to the casting director, to the producer, to the director out there, and what you want to achieve with your talents and where you want to go. All this in today's live session. I'm truly pumped you guys are here. So if you already thought, hey, this was a great intro, so smash the like button just to show the algorithm that this content has value. And if you aren't subscribed so far, subscribe to the channel and smash the bell, of course, so you get notified every time we grind out a new video, because this is a fairly small channel and it takes sometimes, it takes a while sometimes to emerge as a small channel. And if you're out there and you forget us to search for us and you forget how we are called here at the COACHMC Studio, sometimes you won't see our notification, you won't see that we're popping up because of the amount of the sheer volume of so many great videos out there that are being produced every day. So make sure to join the notification squad by clicking that little bell button. It's very much appreciated. And welcome everybody. I'm super pumped. I want to say a great thank you to my audience, to my followers on Instagram, here on YouTube, on Facebook, who are DMing me and messaging me all the time with so many great and very interesting questions. And I thought today let's do it a bit more tangible and a bit less philosophical, right? A bit less technique and acting studio like, and a bit more like really like to the core. What is truly important? How can I make myself heard in this business? What are the rules that I need to follow? Because like every business, like every craft, like every art, there are certain laws and certain rules that are not written, that are not outspoken, that are something that is part of the culture. And that's what I want to transmit to you guys, the importance of this culture and what this culture is actually saturated of, and what we need more and where we can expand more. Because culture is from understanding, from reasoning with each other, from exchanging, from growing. And I want to make sure to give you some tools, some instruments, some ideas to think about, some little things that will turn out to be great if you use them in the right way, because they definitely did the same job for me when I took advice from my masters, from the resources, from the great books I'm always reading, and also from the observations throughout the time that I've made on those various sets I've had the incredible privilege to be on in these various countries, that I kind of resumed for myself and focused and condensed for myself with the clear reflection that I want to learn how to be better, how to make a contribution to this culture, to make this culture even greater. Because let's admit it, it's such a privilege to be an actor, to be an entertainer, to be a performer. What do you think about that? Isn't that a great job, to entertain and delight and inspire people and motivate them to be a better version of themselves, or to think about certain concepts that may be abstract or totally banal, to give them something to dream of, to escape from the daily habits and routines and to go somewhere else and places far beyond our imagination? Because that's what art is all about, what great acting is all about, and entertainment industry is all about. It's called industrial light and magic for a reason, right? We want to be part of this magic, and you need the tricks. right? For magic, you need tricks. You need to know certain things. You need to know certain gimmicks. You need to use certain gadgets. You need to kind of put them into place and put them into action so they work to really impress the audience. It's not so much about ourselves. We're just a conduit of great emotions, of great feelings, of great stories. We're storytellers. So through us, the story will be told to the audience. The audience will perceive our images, our stories, our great impressions, and will be impressed as well by our expression. And will go home after the show is over, leaving the theater with some great new thoughts. And that's what we hear because we want to give people new thoughts. But before we do that, we need certain mistakes to be avoided. We need certain errors to be eliminated. We need to understand certain things about how we can work with our imagination, our creativity, because sometimes creativity is the greatest solution of them all, right? And in today's live session, I want to divide this live session in two chunks, in two big parts. I want to talk first about certain things that you should avoid by all means, that you need to know when you're starting off as a young actor in entertainment industry, when you're starting off with your career, or maybe just to refresh your memory if you're already part of entertainment industry, or if you're already out there and shooting and having fun. Like, what are the fundamentals again to not totally deviate from the road I had planned previously when I started this whole wacky endeavor, right? First of all, I want to talk about the mistakes that you need to avoid because they are truly unnecessary, and they smudge the picture, they water down your product, they liquefy your essence, and you don't need that. You need to come through as believable, as authentic and truthful as possible, especially in the beginning. And I'm talking about on a human level as well as on an artistic level. I mean, both sides of the battle, they can't really be separated from each other, right? When I'm talking about this first chunk, I'm talking about two things, right? But they are part of one only core thing. If you know what I mean, let me know in the comment section below if you know what I mean. I'm talking about things you need to avoid as a human, as a person, as the person who's trying to impersonate a new role, a new character, who's trying to get a foot into the door of entertainment industry, and as an actor when you are displaying it, when you are performing it, when you are on set already. So both things are totally fundamental. And then in the second part, in the second chunk of this video, I will try to give you some instruments on how to be more creative, on how to come up with different solutions, on how to find a new road, on how to deviate from the original script and staying true to your core and to your essence. Because sometimes that is fundamental when you're not finding an adequate answer to a great question that is proposed to you by the director or by the script or by the colleague or by your friends or by the circumstances, the environment. Then you have to come up with a new solution, with a new result, and that way around the boulder, around the problem, that little way, even if it's just a small step, can be a big leap for your career, can be a huge jump for your progress, for your evolution. So in the first part, we're going to talk about don't do this. And then the second part, we're going to talk about do this, right? So let's dive right into it. I'm super pumped you're joining, guys. Truly helpful. If you have any question, just put it in the chat box. It really helps to kind of, continuously go on with this conversation because it's not just me preaching, it's me talking with you and chatting and exchanging. I want to get to know you a little bit better. I want to know who my followers, my fans, who the audience is, who this community is. And so it's truly great if you give me some feedback right away. So that's that. Let's dive right into the first part of the things you should avoid, mistakes that are so bad and so clear, right? If I will start with the list, you might think, wow, this is so clear. Of course I need to avoid these mistakes. They are stupid or they are unnecessary. This is just a waste of time. But yes, sometimes we need somebody to remind us because guess what? Even though I'm 33 years now in the biz, certain things I need to refresh always and constantly for myself as well because we get so much in the biz, we get so much we're so involved with the script and getting the next audition and thinking about our style and our body, and then sometimes we forget the really fundamentals, the essentials that make us stand out in the audition room or while we're on set, that are sometimes so simple. And I just want you to kind of go through this list with me, and tell me what you think about me. And certainly these things are coming from my own experience. They're also coming from the experience of some colleagues I talk to, some friends I talk to, things that I observe every day. And so it's a mixture of my own life, of my own growing process, of my own career, but also from the knowledge I've gathered through my resources and the exchanges and the conversations and the dialogues and live chats like this one. So again, smash the like button just to show the algorithm that we're on fire, that this is our day, and that we're going to start a new path this year, and that we're going to develop in a serious way to really portray realistic and truthful and crisp characters that will shine bright on the screen, that will shine bright on the stage, and it will blow people's mind away, because we need that. We need escapism right now. We need to sometimes exit through the back door and be in another world. We need Narnia. We need the Lord of the Rings. We need Star Wars. We need Game of Thrones. We need the worlds of that are full of magic. We need the little moments that make us laugh in regular movies, as well as the big things, the big action scenes. We need all that. And why do we need them? Because they inspire us, because they bring us to another level, because they let us look into another dimension, and that it fulfills and enriches us, and gives us a new idea about our reality, the way we are living it, the way we are deploying our craft, as well as when we are consuming and we want to get entertained, and we want to escape for a couple of hours from our daily habits, from our daily life. Not that our daily life is not nice, or not not satisfactory for our system, but because it's great to let our mind go and to dive into new concepts and to plunge into different worlds. We need those worlds. And this is also a live session that is there to tell you guys that it's never over, right? It's always a point where you can restart your game, where you can restart your career, where you can, kick back into, into the business, kick back into the industry. It's never a dead end. It's only a dead end if you're dead, if you don't want it anymore. If you still have power and passion, you can do it. You can always stand up for yourself, make yourself heard, pick up the lines, and play something great and inspire people. So let's dive right into it with the mistakes we should, by all means, avoid if we want to have success and a great career in entertainment industry. Number one, might sound banal, like I said, right? But it's just there to kind of illustrate why it is so banal and why it's so important at the same time. So first of all, let's create a mantra for ourselves, right? Let's create an acting mantra, like something that is a rule, like an unspoken law, something that we should regard as our little Bible, consisting of 3 lines, actually, right? First line, right? You should tattoo inside of your brain, right? Ink it in there. Learn your lines. Learn your lines in a waterproof way. Second of all, don't be late. Be always on time. Be punctual. And the third part of the mantra is stay out of trouble and don't be an idiot, right? This is the overarching perspective for the following rules, for the rules that are coming up. And they will kind of exemplify with the details that I'm giving out, and with the little informations that I will try to share with you guys, that are so fundamental in order to make it. So learn your lines in a way that they are waterproof. Let's start with the number one. Because the lines, they need to be yours. When you're starting off as an actor, all eyes are on you. And when you're famous, even more eyes are on you, right? It's a constant battle. It's a constant continuation of tests and checks, and everybody will, kind of check you out, especially in the beginning. What's this actor about? What's his product? What's his style? What is this actress telling me? Where is she coming from? What's her intention? All these things, they come through in the way we appear, right? So avoid the mistake of saying things like, well, I don't want to learn the lines in a waterproof way, and I don't want to make them waterproof for myself. I want to float a little bit with them. If I learn them too thoroughly, I get stiff, or I'm not spontaneous anymore, I can't improvise. That's rubbish. That's just laziness, right? Learn your lines thoroughly, as if they are your second skin, as if there is nothing else that you want to say in your life. Remember what Michael Shurtleff said, right? The big casting director from Broadway, and in his iconic book Auditioning, right? Such a great book. It's my personal, one of my personal Bibles. Highly recommend you to read this book in order to make it in the audition room. Is one of the greatest books, one of the greatest resources you can ever read. Right? Michael Shurtleff said the scene never begins in the beginning. The scene begins in the middle of your life. So you have to fill in the blank spots before the scene started as your character. And you can only do that by knowing exactly what you're saying. And you can do it backwards if necessary, upwards, and exchange the words and flip them and change the position. It doesn't matter. These lines, they are your expression. They are in the middle of your life. So don't be lazy about learning your lines. Do them in a waterproof way. By the way, there's a great video by this guy. He's called the COACHMC, and you can check it out, how to memorize your lines correctly and thoroughly with some great tips. Check out this video. Highly recommend it, and give me some feedback. I got some great techniques included in that video on how you can stratify the lines and really ramify them inside of yourself very quickly, how to learn them and put them deep into your system so they kind of blossom up afterwards and they become reality. They become truthful expression of what you're thinking in the moment as the character, as the imagined life, in that very moment of circumstances that are imaginary. You need to learn the lines in a way that they're absolutely yours. Because guess what? Something unexpected can happen. Unexpected can happen inside of the audition room or on set even, right? Plans can change, people can come in, can call you up. There are so many ways of distracting you. And if your lines are your second skin, then chances are you're gonna slip up, you're gonna do some mistakes, you're gonna lose some words, you're gonna scramble up the lines, you're gonna create some confusion. You don't want that, especially when you're starting off with your career and maybe you get called on set for the very first time. You want to make a great and lasting impression, and learning your lines thoroughly is truly a fundamental part of that. It might seem banal to say that, but I've witnessed this for myself, being on set, watching other colleagues, or when I get called to help out with the auditions, that I think like, oh, this actress or this actor, he's not really sure of what he's saying because he hasn't, internalized the lines like thoroughly and completely, and that's a shame because it looks like there's a lack of professionalism, which it might be totally wrong, but this is the impression that somebody gets, a casting director gets right away. It's like, oh, what the hell, right? Oh, you seem too nervous. So learn your lines, anchor them inside of yourself, and learn them in a way that they are yours and yours alone. It's like your sword. It's Excalibur. Only you can extract it from the stone. So it should be only you saying these lines, as you were the only person, as if you were the only person on planet Earth saying them. Okay. Don't be late. Be punctual. And here's the thing. I've heard this from some other colleagues that they try to avoid to be on time so they don't get nervous by waiting in a casting director's office. And to a certain extent, I can deal with that reasoning. I can look at it and say, well, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. But first of all, you have to deal with nervosity. If you want to make it in entertainment industry, you have to deal with nervosity. You have to deal with waiting. You have to deal with being patient. You have to deal with staying focused, even if the waiting time is longer than expected. So being in a casting director's office is your first playground. It's a very great, space where you can still exercise and still looking for different solutions, and where you still have the chance and the opportunity of, changing your demeanor. So if you start there of being already nervous because you have to wait, or because the waiting time is longer than expected, or that you can really stand the pressure, then chances are when you get called on set, and maybe it's a big budget production, that you will lose it there. So that's a great training ground, and uses it as it's such, right? As such. Use the casting director's experience, use the audition experience to train yourself to get better in the process. So don't be late because you don't want to wait. Be punctual because you want to learn, because you want to internalize this process of pushing down your nervosity and keeping a steady and focused and clear mind till you get called to action. And then bada boom, you release it and you deploy it and you are great. This is part of you becoming a great actor, of achieving mastery in your field of expertise. So be punctual, be there 10 minutes before you were supposed to be there. Another second great advantage of being punctual and being on time is you get to know people. You see how they're exiting the casting director's office. You hear how they are auditioning. And if you're hearing that they're doing something and you see their face when they're coming out and they look disappointed, then you know they went the wrong path or they went the wrong way. Maybe it's just their judgment that they are over denigrating themselves, and or maybe they want to put you on a wrong path, right? But you can tell if somebody's truly satisfied or not, if he's just playing or if he's just putting on a show. No, I wasn't good. No, that wasn't good at all. You can tell if that person nailed it or not, if he's truly satisfied or not. And if you heard what he's doing and he's coming out and he's not satisfied, then probably this way isn't the right way, or at least it doesn't feel like that. Plus, there is a great amount of information floating around in a casting director's office. If you are 30 minutes in advance there, and you start to get acquainted with people, not socializing too much though. Don't get distracted. I'm saying, like, having a nice and polite conversation here and there while you're waiting to get called in, before you warm yourself up and stuff, can also bring you some great information about future projects, about what the casting director is looking for. If you heard any directions maybe through the door, coming into the waiting room, is like, okay, he wants to see that, and that already gives you a little advantage. So don't miss out on those advantages. Fight your nervosity, be there on time, be punctual, and put down anything that is not consistent with the audition, and try to stay focused and clear and sharp. And that is a great training ground for the future as well. And it gives you the great advantage of receiving informations and also creating some networks. Don't over socialize with people. Don't get distracted. Don't lose your fire bundle, right? Don't let it go out. But otherwise, it's just one of the greatest things that we can do, to be there in advance, to be totally on time. It also shows that you're a great professional, right? Nobody likes an actor who keeps you waiting the whole time, right? Is late and he's late again, and we have to push it again. I mean, don't stress yourself out. Of course, there are some emergencies. There are some things that we can't really predict, like heavy traffic jams or an accident or train is running late. There are certain things that we can really influence, and they are happening. I'm not talking about coming 15 minutes late because there was like an accident and there was a long queue on the freeway or anything like that. I'm talking about being not on time because you were lazy with your planning of the day, because people can recognize that you were just lazy and you weren't just giving a shit, and then that's why you're late. People can stand that. Be a professional, be on time, be there before you need to be there. Sharp looking, shaved or not shaved, right? Smelling well, but not too much deodorant and not too much cologne, just the right way, just the right amount. And like I said, it's a great way to get a notion of what the casting director is liking, of if there's any information trickling down, if there are some changes. If you're there on time, chances are maybe there's a great actor who was supposed to read for the lead. He's not going to make it. And they say, you know what, we want somebody to read this right now. And they call you in and say, can you read this really quick before you do your audition? And maybe you're blowing people away. You're blowing people away with this new spontaneous read, with this new cold reading that you got in a matter of minutes. And then who knows, maybe your career, your destiny, your whole faith will change. Your whole fate will change because you were there before you were supposed to be there, right? So Don't be late. Avoid making this mistake. It shows that you're a great pro. You get more information and you start training, rehearsing of not getting nervous. And even more so when you're on set, you need to control that nervosity, right? So we got a question by Martina Lehmann. Hello, Martina. It's such a pleasure to have you on today's live session. Welcome to the chat. It's never over if you always go and search for your energy and light. Yes, it's never over. It's so true. And greetings back to Berlin. Yeah, it's so true. It's never over. If you keep your energy alive because you're always searching for new informations and you want to get inspired more and more and you stay positive, it's never over, right? What will you do against an opponent who's not giving up, right? If you're not giving up, if you're always searching for the energy and for the light, if you're always searching for a positive mindset, we will get to that in a couple of minutes, by the way. But I think it's a very good it's a very good statement that you're making, Martina. Thank you so much for that little comment. I appreciate it. Third point of the overarching mantra before we get into the nitty-gritty of the details of what this all means and what the implications are is stay out of trouble. And what I mean by that with stay out of trouble, especially when you're starting out, is you know it. I don't have to explain it. You know exactly when to go home, when it's time to leave, when it's better not to have another drink, when it's better to avoid certain friendships or certain environments, when it's better to avoid taking drugs or abusing of anything, when it's just time to stay out of trouble. It's just time to be a greater and better version of yourself. It's up to you. You have to make the choice. If you want to make it an entertainment industry, if you want to have a great career, if you want to get admired by people and want to inspire people back, you have to inspire yourself first. You can't pretend to be an inspiring person if you are not following the holy rules for yourself. How can you pretend to shine and to spark and to create magic if you're not treating yourself as well as you want the others to treat you, right? I think it's a very banal thing, but then again I see it so many times. Like, people have talent, they have passion, they have a very good demeanor, they're strong, but they don't stay out of trouble. They get distracted by trouble. They get distracted by wrong choices. They get distracted by the wrong environment. They get distracted by toxic behavior, toxic friendships. All this. Stay out of trouble. Don't be an idiot. Don't auto-sabotage your talent, your craft, your career over stupid things that you can avoid, that don't make any sense, that don't qualify yourself as as a great person, because a great person doesn't do that. He doesn't need to do that. A great person is focused on creating greatness and not ruining himself or just wasting the moment of studying, and instead of doing consuming and playing any games, instead of putting in the good work and doing the work and really being consistent about your work. Be consistent about your craft and stay out of trouble. Don't be an idiot. It's such a privilege to be part of this great entertainment industry, of being part of great storytelling processes and great stories. That why do you want to waste such an opportunity? Don't do that, right? Stay out of trouble. Go home, go to bed early, wake up early, do great things with your body, stay focused, stay healthy, and persevere your energy. It can be over soon. It can be over so soon sometimes, right? You never know what's going to happen. So one of the overarching tips that belong to our mantra is, I won't be late, I will learn my lines, and I will stay out of trouble. I won't be late, I will learn my lines, and I will stay out of trouble. You see how it's humming? You see how it's resonating with you? Take that in and leave that in, right? Smash the like if you haven't so far for that little extravaganza there. So they asked Steve Martin, one of the great comedians, right? Check out Steve Martin, great comedian, absolutely fantastic actor, very friendly guy. He's also a great jazz musician, very gifted, very talented actor. They asked him what's, because he's in the biz now for, I don't know, like 50 years. They asked him, "What's your secret, Steve Martin?" He said, "I'm always focused, and there is this perseverance that I have that will keep me go on. It just, it's like an engine. I have perseverance and I have focus. I'm concentrated and I have perseverance. I'm focused and I won't stop, relentlessly go on and on." So focus and perseverance, these are the two ingredients Steve Martin called out to be, the two major fundamental ingredients of a success. Stay focused. How can you achieve focus and concentration? By avoiding distractions. And how can you avoid distractions? By staying out of trouble, for example, and by really eliminating what's not useful in the beginning of your career. You have to put yourself on the track. And again, there might be somebody coming up and say, "Hey, if I refuse all the things that are funny in my life, if I renounce, my friends and all my hobbies and all that and my passions, I'm not myself anymore." Well, you can be yourself while you're acting. That's the whole point of being an actor. You are yourself. It's not that you are lending out your time to this artificial being that hasn't any points of contact with you. It's you. It's yourself. So put all that passion, all these hobbies, put all these things into the character, especially in the beginning of your career. I don't want you to become robots. I want you to become great performers who enjoy success and inspire people. And if you want that, you need to exclude all the distractions and everything that drains energy from your primary objective. If getting great at acting and becoming a star or becoming an accountable and working actor in entertainment industry is your goal and your mission, you need to do that and put all that energy into the role. There, in this imaginary life, you can go crazy. You can expand all and explore all the boundaries. And you can do all the things that you would do in your normal, regular, private life that you call your hobbies and passions. You can include them in there, in this imaginary life. And this is pretty much the only job where you can do that as an artist, is take all that, put it in there. It's sort of creating that channel. It's creating and carving out that channel in your inner self, right? To be that carpenter and knowing exactly what your channels are and where the energy needs to flow and how you need to stay focused and how you affect people by what you're doing. And you can only do that if you're 100% focused and if you exclude everything that distracts you from this mission, because it's a grand mission, it's a big mission. And if acting, and I have to be totally honest with you guys, because it isn't as easy as it might seem sometimes. It can be, but it's not always like that, especially getting into entertainment industry and getting a foot into big projects or cool projects and becoming a working actor, a series regular, all that. You have to sacrifice something for it. And it's if your hobbies, if your passions, if your daily distractions, if your routines, if your little things, your rituals, if they interfere too much with acting, and if you always have to take a step back and take a step back because you first need to do this and that and that, so maybe then acting is not your thing. Maybe being a performer is not as valuable to you as it might look on first glance, or what you thought of yourself, right? If all your hobbies are more important than acting, then by all means, then entertain your hobbies, because obviously you want that more than entertaining people. But if you're really up to the task of creating sensational characters that spark magic in the eyes of your audience, then you need to know what your prerogatives are and what your primary objectives and your secondary objectives are, and what's really essential to your happiness. Because once you get control over your instruments and you can fool around with all these concepts and you got your structure based right, believe me, you will have more fun than all the side entertainment that you can imagine, all the hobbies that they will just enrich in your product, but they are not your main focus. Your main focus is becoming a great artist, a great professional artist with a great craftsmanship that is able to entertain and indulge people with this storytelling process. Everything else is unnecessary. And if you don't want that as hard as I'm explaining it right now, then maybe acting is not for you. And I don't mean that in a judgmental way. I'm just saying maybe then it's time to kind of rethink your whole concept, because acting needs a lot of energy, needs a lot of focus, needs a lot of perseverance, like Steve Martin said, needs a lot of, kind of choosing what's primary important to you and where you want to go, and kind of build that for yourself. And if you don't want to do that, then maybe it's not the job for you, right? And that's okay. So leave the space and leave the place for somebody who's willing to invest everything he or she has to kind of make it, because she or him, he wants or she wants to inspire people, right? And that's so fundamental. We have, in every field of occupation, we have people that are not really passionate about their jobs. And acting is not just a job where you go and earn some money and go home. Yeah, fuck it. No, acting is passionate. It's magic. It's giving everything that you got every day on set or on the stage or during rehearsals or while you're auditioning, right? So do that. Take advantage of this. Take advantage of me. Book me for a free trial lesson, right? Let's get together. Let's find out what you need to enrich your product even more, to step up your game even more, to become a master at auditioning, to book the jobs you want to book, and how to kind of proceed and how to evolve. We can do that together. Don't give up. Ask me for help. It's the COACHMC.studio. Or book a session right away if you got a great self-tape in mind, or a great audition, a great monologue to spice up your show reel, if you want to upload something on those various casting platforms to kind of get, perceived by the relevant players in your field. Let's do it all together. It's the COACHMC.studio. Send me an email right away. Don't waste any time. Let's step up the game. Let's become marvelous at what we're doing. So I know that this might seem like a lot of information, especially for beginners, especially for those, who are starting out right now, or, maybe just tinkering about the possibility of entering entertainment industry, how serious you need to be, and what you have to invest and what you have to leave behind. Like I said right now, right? So one mistake that a lot of people do is they get scared very easily by the roles, by the audition, by the feedback, by, the things that are happening, by the crisis, by, everything. It's everything that happens can have two ways of impacting us. It can have, two manifestations in our system. Everything that happens, right? We can embrace everything that happens with love and say, let's do it. Or we can be scared, right? And then be threatened by the things that happen to us, right? Especially when we're starting off, especially when we get criticism, or when people are just not liking us in the audition, or like the director's having a bad day and he's not talking in a nice way to us. All this can scare us very easily, especially when we're starting off. So don't be scared. Welcome the challenge. Get to know yourself in this situation. What can I do to become better? How can I fight this scary moment back into the cage and close it down and lock the door, lock the cage and throw away the key and shine again, right? Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. That's just a trick of your mind telling you it's actually your ego who doesn't want exposure, right? Your ego wants always to play it safe, always to be in this comfort zone. Oh no, please, no, right? Don't judge me. You don't know me and all this, right? No. Welcome the challenge. Open yourself up. If you're scared, it's just because there's future greatness lying ahead of you. If you're scared, it's your brain and your heart telling you what's about to come next. This will make you step up your game even more. So don't be scared. It's just an indicator of your system telling you something great is coming up. There's a big lesson coming up. Something that you need to learn is coming up where you have an inconsistency. That's why you're scared. So don't be scared. Just examine it. Look at it as like, oh, actually, I'm not scared. It's just my system telling me, hey, I need to fill up some blank spots. And that's beautiful. It's our system, it's our subconscious mind and our heart telling us, hey, magnify this a little bit. And now you see what's missing. Now you can get better. Once you implement that and exercise that, boom, now you get better. And usually the things we are scared of the most in the beginning, that's where we're the best later on, right? Because we exercise them even more than the things we feel comfortable and acquainted with in the first place, right? The things we are scared of in the beginning, we have to exercise more to overcome the difficulty, to master them, and then actually become better and with that first thing that we're scared of than with anything else that we were totally fine with in the beginning, because we're paying more attention to that, we're focusing even more. So don't be scared. It's such a silly thing to be in this industry. The only thing that you don't need to be is to be scared, because everything is allowed. When we're auditioning, when we're on set, when we're on the stage, when we're rehearsing, everything is allowed. Isn't that great? That should free yourself. I know some people might be scared. Oh, so many choices. So step by step, take the first choice. Doesn't work? Take the second choice. Doesn't work? Take the third choice. Johnny Depp once said, if it works, great. If not, I've learned. That's it. If it works, it's great. If not, you've learned and you will do it better the next time. It can't get much better than this, right? So there is no reason to be scared. Avoid being scared. Avoid fear by just embracing the fear and welcoming the fear and accepting the fact that fear is just telling us that it's just the false evidence appearing real. That's what fear means. It's just false evidence. It's not real. It's not because you're scared of something. It's your ego telling you, oh, you need to learn. It's actually laziness. You're defending yourself against that. Oh no, now I have to take on that mountain and that boulder. Yeah, so what? Do it. If you want to make it in entertainment industry, you need to wipe out the word fear. It's just nonsensical. It means learning, right? Johnny Depp said, if it works, it's great. If not, then I've learned. Avoid excuses. That's a very big point. And I'm talking out of personal experience. It's probably one of the biggest things that I can tell you from my personal experience in this show, in this live session, in this first part of the live session. I always find excuses, or at least I'm getting better at not finding excuses anymore, because the only person accountable for your success, it's you. Isn't that a big thing? Write it down in the comment section right now. It's a big thing, right? The only person accountable for your success or your failure is you. Nobody else. Nobody else. Don't blame traffic. Don't blame your household. Don't blame your traumas. Don't blame your sexual addictions. Don't blame your inclinations, your private habits. Don't blame anything, right? It's you in the essence who is responsible and accountable for your success and your failures. So no excuses. Just do the work. If it doesn't work, then you've learned. But beforehand, you've put everything you had into that basket. You've tried your very best to succeed. And then in the end, you don't have to have any conscience, any bad conscience, because you said, okay, I've done everything I could to make this happen, to have success, to nail this audition. Didn't work out. Okay, there was somebody better. They were searching for something else. It wasn't my day. That's just an honest reflection, but don't find excuses. Oh, I couldn't learn my lines, or oh yes, I wasn't possible to express myself because he wasn't paying attention. No excuses. It's just you. Because guess what? If you're accountable for your failures, then you're accountable for your success as well. If you are deflecting the responsibility, if you are pointing the finger to the circumstances or to somebody else, if you missed the bus, or if you failed at the audition, or if you screwed up your first day on set, then of course you aren't responsible for your success as well. No excuses. There are no excuses. Do the work. Put in everything you got. Be passionate. Be great. Be, like somebody you would like to see. If you go to the movies and you get inspired by a hero, if you watch a great movie and the protagonist lead. She's amazing, right? She's inspiring you. Guess what? She's inspiring you because she takes responsibility over her actions and over her lines. She tried all the ways possible. She covered through the rehearsal process everything she could cover. She read, she wrote, she did everything she could in order to express as truthful as possible that imaginary life. And now she's solely responsible for her success as well. That's why she's inspiring you on the big screen. She wasn't making any excuses. Great heroes, they don't search for excuses. They don't deflect responsibility. They are accountable for their actions. Sometimes we fail. That's human. That's okay. Nobody's shooting at us because of that, right? Just stand up, brush yourself off, and look better than before, like Billy Wilder once said. When an actor falls down and he stands up and he brushes himself off, brushes off the dust, he looks better than before. Because through the falling down process, we realize something so vital and so important. The ones who are not realizing, they're staying on the ground. The ones who are realizing, they will stand up again. So stand up again. Stand in for something that is yours. Don't find any excuses, because that's just a waste of energy. Imagine you have to find excuses all the times for all the things that are happening. How much energy are you wasting instead of putting it into making your character great? Instead of just nailing the audition and being the best on set, being punctual and sharp as fucking hell. Put the energy into that and not finding excuses. Besides that, finding excuses is toxic for your brain, because once your ego finds this little escape room, this backdoor exit, he will continuously do so throughout your life, and that will become bigger and bigger and bigger, more and more excuses, more and more energy wasted, and your brain becomes lazy and fatigued, actually, by always finding excuse, by always finding a new reason. And sometimes you even have to lie and find some strange connotation because you're not able to perform, or because you didn't nail the audition, because you weren't showing up on time. What's that? Just take the blame, take it in. Then observe yourself, say, what can I do next? Like, this is the beginning of the year. The beginning of the year is like, what happened last year? It means that you've made a transition, right? There was this revolution around the sun. What happened last year? What were the mistakes that I did? What was flawed about my behavior, about my attitude? Talking about small things and big things, right? And now it's time to change. If you don't change, then it's just a senseless kind of revolving thoughts thing that won't make you progress. And why shouldn't you want that? Like, to progress and to revolutionize your system and always come up with a new solution. If you always find excuses, your brain won't search for any new solutions, because he knows exactly, yeah, I will find an excuse. Great careers, great success, they don't come from a place of finding excuses, right? You're the solely responsible for having success, for having a great career, for making a great impression, and for having a great performance and a great reading. So welcome the challenge, right? Welcome the challenge. It's you. It's this play that we have. We are all actors and the world's a stage. Shakespeare. Be supportive. Be supportive with your friends. Be supportive with the people who are doing it. It's hard because we're jealous, and I get that. And again, this is also something that I needed to learn throughout time. And it's hard. Sometimes you try so hard and you fail, and try so hard and you fail, and try so hard and you fail, and then somebody comes up, maybe a friend, and he nails or she nails one audition after the other, and that can be frustrating. But be supportive. Why? Because if you are truly and honestly and authentically, genuinely supportive, if you support your friends, you're supporting the artistic collective, you're supporting the culture, and the culture one day will support you back. If you are denigrating and closing yourself down and full of envy and jealous and always in a bad mood, and yeah, he's doing it, oh, it's so great, he was just lucky, right? She was just lucky. She just got in and she's just got the part. She was just lucky. And if you're not supportive, if you're not really and honestly realizing why your friends, why your other colleagues are nailing the role, you can't learn from them, and the culture won't be supportive back to you. So be supportive. If somebody's struggling, help him out. Because guess what? One day you will struggle and they will help you out. And you will thank God and the universe for that. Because sometimes we need help. But we can't pretend to be helped if we didn't help for ourselves, if we didn't help in the first place. If we don't put in the good work, how can we expect that the good work comes back to us? Right? Be supportive. Don't be jealous. It's good. There are oscillations. Sometimes somebody is successful, sometimes somebody else is successful, and that's okay. That's part of the game. No one can be successful all the time, and no one can fail all the time. There are always oscillations. There's always coming up and going down. It's always a roller coaster, and that's okay. Sometimes we have great days, sometimes we have less good days, and sometimes we have very bad days and miserable days, and that's okay. But be supportive with the people. Again, if you are supporting the culture, and that's something about acting that I wanted to address for a long time. Sometimes when I get into auditions, it's just overwhelmingly cold, right? The atmosphere is like below zero. Everybody is tied up. Everybody wants to keep his own shit together. And to a certain extent, I can understand that. But then again, it's like we are creating a culture of dissent and jealousy and envy and of secretness and that won't contribute, that won't make this culture richer. It will actually drain energy and essence and preciousness from the culture. So be supportive, right? Don't close yourself down. It will just harm you. It's like finding excuses all the time. It's a waste of energy. Even if it's hard, train it. And I'm talking out of own experience here. I'm always jealous, right? I'm always jealous. I always wanted to be the best, best actor, best drawer. Oh, yeah, and it's okay to be second sometimes, or even third, as long as you're up there. It's not important to be always the best. Guess what? Sometimes being in that middle section, I'm not talking about being mediocre, but being in that middle section, or even close to the peak, close to the summit point, gives you more liberty and more space to evolve and progress and explore. If you're always the best, you have to keep pushing. You can't really allow yourself to take your time off of that carousel, of that wheel, to kind of invest a little bit of your time in something that is just your passion, and it will enrich in your product, right? Sometimes when you are the first, you don't see anything, you just want to be the best, and then this whole game becomes a bit too stiff and too severe and too serious. Don't take yourself too serious, right? Just leave some space, leave some air. And again, it's always it's a game of oscillations. There's always a coming back. There's always a tidal wave in your favor. Wait for that. Perseverance and focus, like Steve Martin said. Be good, be nice, be there, be helpful. It will help you way more than denigrating, closing yourself down, and judging and gossiping and bad mouthing and all that. That's a waste of energy. And it creates negative energy. And your brain gets used to that negative energy and it craves that even more. You know why? Because your brain, if you inject negative energy, will of course produce those neurochemicals like norepinephrine and adrenaline and all that. And then your body starts, getting addicted to those neurochemicals. So it wants more. So your body calls for that negativity. So you start bad mouthing, even if you don't feel like doing it, and then it becomes a habit. And once it's a habit and it's installed in your system, it's very hard to get rid of. And then you appear as being a negative person, because that is the energy you're clouding yourself with. And nobody wants to work with a negative person or with a jealous person all the time that is negative all the time. And it's always judgmental and pointing the finger, because if your index is pointing to someone else, 3 of the other fingers are pointing to you back, right? So don't do that. Avoid this mistake. It's absolutely unnecessary. Don't be judgmental. Accept when somebody's having success and analyze why she's enjoying that success. What are her methods? What are her instruments? What is she doing different than me? What can I learn from her? If I'm judgmental, I'm closing myself down to accepting the solutions she is putting into work to make it, to have success. So I can't even learn. So she will become better and better and better, and I will become worse and worse and worse. So when I'm judgmental and when I'm negative and when I'm not supporting my culture, I will fall back more and more and more over time. And the more I do it, the less space and room I will have for my creativity and for my good and positive energy. Again, it's illumination, it's ideas, it's radiating. And that means that you're transmitting, that you're giving out great information. You can't do that if you're not supportive. Because if you're not supportive, you're just standing on one leg because you're not really believing in your craft or in the business. And people will notice that. They will immediately point that out about you. It's like, Next mistake you should avoid. This is something that's probably more important on set. My next point is probably more important when you start shooting and working. But it's overall, it's one of those keys that you can use before the audition or when you're on set. But generally, you can use it for the rest of your life, especially when you're developing a character. So it's useful on so many levels, right? As a human being and as an actor as well. Yeah, two different things, right? No, but you get the point. There is a professional being, right? The being that works, the human being that is consistently working and trying to offer his craftsmanship for a project. That's the professional being. And then there is the private being that cleans up his house and has a partner and works a private life and has a private life and a pet and and family. That's the private being, and there is the professional being. So there is a distinction if you really think about that. And for both beings, the next tip is super helpful and very, very valuable, I think. Listen. 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 Are you listening? Let me know in the comment section below right now. Are you listening? Have you subscribed? Have you subscribed, by the way? Have you listened to what I said in the intro? Subscribe and comment in the comment section below if you are really listening. You need to listen. People are dropping so many great pieces of information throughout the day, and you are missing out on those informations because you're distracted by your cell phone, because you're distracted by a mirror, by some stupid thoughts about your look, because you're mingling around with something you shouldn't do. So whether you're auditioning, whether you're on set, whether you're on stage, whether you're in the rehearsal process, whether you're working or just talking to a director, to a producer, whether you're on a party, on an event, on a gathering, on a fair, on a everywhere, you might encounter relevant players in your business. You need to listen to them. The masters, they eventually drop some vital informations. They eventually drop some very valuable keys that will help you to unlock the door to success. You need to listen to them actively. What is he really saying? What is she really meaning by that? What kind of advice is that she's giving out right now? Elaborate the information. Take a journal with you every time you go to the audition, so you write down your experiences right away, so you don't forget anything that you've just heard, because you actively listen to what the casting director is telling you, the production director is telling you, to what the director is telling you. Listen closely, attentively, clearly. Avoid any distractions. Listen really what the director is telling you. What does he want? What does she want? Because if you really listen to people, you get a notion of what they mean. There's always a meaning underneath or behind the lines that is spelled out. Like in acting, there's always another meaning and another meaning and another meaning. So listen. Avoid the mistake of being superficial, of just being there and being cool. I know sometimes it's not superficial. Sometimes it's just our nervosity. If we are truly nervous, then we can't really listen to other people because we are so much in here instead of out there. So we need to change, to switch the point of focus. We need to go out from in here and being too much in our head. And we need to listen. Look at the lips, how they're moving. Look at the eyes, of the facial expression, of the mimic. What is she really telling you? What is she truly meaning? Like, listen with your heart. Everything that you can, put it in there. I'm someone who needed to learn this lesson, right? And I've paid my dues because I wasn't really listening. I wasn't really paying attention. Like, imagine you're on set. Like, this can be like a very small thing, right? This is your first day on set, and they will tell you, don't go there, don't do this, and don't use the toilet. You know, the plumber needs to come, and it's still clogged, and then you go to the toilet because you weren't listening. You know, you were just nervous and yeah, or you were trying to play the cool actress, like, oh, I'm feeling already like so in tune with all this, right? Because you were playing instead of really listening, of really being there. And so where you were creating a catastrophe on the toilet, or using the wrong door, or going into the wrong room, because you're not really listening to what people are telling you. So don't get distracted and listen closely. Avoid the mistake of being superficial when relevant people are talking to you, when it comes down to auditioning, playing, rehearsing, and all that. And that can be very useful in your private life as that private being as well. Of course, if you train it during your private life, then it's an automatic behavior once you are the professional being. So that's why I'm saying, and that's why I also said in the introduction, most of these things that I'm going to tell you in the first part of this live session are about being both things, right? They're both sides of the medal. You can really exclude one from the equation, because if you're just focusing on being just for the professional sake, what does it mean? Then as a private being, you don't give a fuck about anything somebody tells you? No. You're listening there as well, and you're learning and exercising. Your private life is a training ground for your career. Your private life, your private being existence is the exercise. And then when it comes down to shooting as an actor or as an actress, that's when you really are yourself, even if that sounds a bit scary. Because there you can manifest everything you got inside of yourself and really kind of use all of your skills, all of your abilities, and display them and deploy them and blow people away. But you need to listen first. What is she really meaning? What does she really want from me? And if it's not clear, if you're on set, and if you listen carefully, and maybe, of course, there's a chance somebody's not explaining in a proper way what she or he wants from you, then you have to ask questions. Avoid the mistake of, coming over. Somebody might think, oh, why? If you ask too many questions, I might come across as somebody who's insecure, who he doesn't know what he needs to do. Well, if you don't know what to do, then you have to ask instead of making the mistake and then doing stupid things on set or going into places you should avoid going where you're not supposed to go. So ask. If something is not clear, even if somebody explained it to you beforehand, maybe it wasn't a great explanation, then ask, like, should I really do that, or how should I move here, or is the light good here? Ask. So you come across as a pro. Even big pros, they ask. If something is unclear, then ask. Don't be insecure. Don't be scared. Suppress that and ask the question and listen carefully to what the answer is. And then you know what to do. Then you got your direction. It's so easy sometimes. With my clients, I have this quite a lot. Once we book the roles and they're on set, sometimes they get back to me after the first day of shooting. It's like, and I ask, of course, how was it? How was it? Yeah, it was quite good. But then I had the feeling I wasn't doing the thing right because I thought it would be this, and then it wasn't really clear. And then I said, did you ask? It's so simple. No, usually the response is no, I didn't. And I was like, why? I was scared to ask. Why? It's your job to ask. You have to clarify everything that is unclear to you. You have to kind of push all the clouds away. Any doubt, any reason for you to believe that you're not totally secure of what you have to do on the set, on the stage, or during the rehearsals, you have to ask. to know exactly what your directions are. If somebody wasn't clear to you, whether it's about playing, whether it's about finding orientation on set, or who the responsible people are, or what the schedule is, it doesn't matter. Ask big and relevant questions if something is unclear, and listen to the answers. Focus. Because if you're really listening, also as an actor, right? If you're really listening in the scene while you're playing and while you're auditioning, if you're really listening, that you can react genuinely and truthfully. Oh, this is okay. Then I'm just reacting because I was listening. I was, seeing how the lips were moving. I was catching it and taking in the expression and the mimical expression. So I knew exactly, okay, this is what I need to do now. This is logical for my character. I need to do this right now, right? This is the way I need to react because I was listening clearly and not superficially, and then just waiting for the end of the line. This is the end of the line of the other character I'm playing in the scene. So now I can talk, but I wasn't really listening. I'm not really reacting. I'm just waiting for my turn, and waiting for my turn is not acting. It's the shift. We're not in the shift there. We're in arts business here. Arts business about creating, about being compulsory, about being crazy and irrational. And you can do that by reacting generally if you are listening beforehand. There's another thing. Once you're on set, don't say stupid things, right? I know sometimes we, as actors, we have the tendency to make ourselves hurt, right? To drop a joke or to say like a funny line, or to refer to politics or to something that is happening on the news, or if there was any groundbreaking event or anything. We want to interact with people. But the only interaction you should have on set, in the audition room, or on the stage is about the role, is about the scene, is about the play, is about the movies, about the script. Nothing else. Don't say stupid shit. Avoid that. Right? It's just nasty. So you're a great actress. You are super punctual. You're looking marvelous. You have great talent. And then all of a sudden you feel the urge of filling up time in between takes by saying stupid shit, right? By socializing in a stupid way. It doesn't make any sense. If you don't know what to say, don't say anything at all, or ask something great about the script, about the scene, about the director, about the setup. There are so many great questions, so many things you can, acquire in between takes. If you don't feel the urge of knowing anything, if you have the feeling that you have saturated yourself with all the information necessary to play out the next scene, then shut up. Go to your trailer and wait till you called you. Don't hang around on set and say stupid shit, right? Again, it's me talking, right? Because I did that. I wasted some great opportunities because I wanted to be funny, because I was fighting my nervosity by saying stupid things or dropping some stupid remarks or trying to be the clown, where the only thing that was needed from me was to focus and concentrate on the next take, on the next close-up, on the next scene, on the next discussion and dialogue with the director. If you say stupid shit, people get the wrong impression about you. And again, I know nervosity and all that, and if you are insecure, especially when you're starting out, it's kind of hard to resist, right? And it's hard to maintain focus, but you don't need to put on a great show. The only great show you need to put up is when the camera is rolling. That's when you need to put on a great show and say incredible, amazing, or stupid things. Beforehand, shut up. If you don't have any relevant question to anyone who's relevant on set, shut up. Go to your trailer and wait till they call you. Don't waste the opportunity of making a first great impression by watering down your product, by saying things that are not relevant. When we are on set, we are hyperly focused on achieving, the scene in time, because everything costs money. Everybody is, kind of busy and sometimes even stressed out. Sometimes the situation is even dramatical, right? So we need to be hyper concentrated. We need to plunge into that world, and everything that rips this world apart, everything that kind of gets us out of the concentration, out of the focus, out of the moment, everything that happens that is unnecessary is regarded as something as something negative. And if you're responsible for even one of those grainy stones, that will stick with you, right? That will stick with remembering you. That little tag that you gave yourself because you felt the urge of saying something, even though it wasn't really the moment, that will stick with you. It's like, yeah, she's a great actress, but why did she need to say that? What was the need of dropping that line or making that remark or making that prank or saying that stupid thing or making that unnecessary joke? Leave it out. Stick to the game plan. Stick to being a great performer. Everything else is unnecessary. You can say stupid shit as much as you want when you are in your private space, when you are that private being again, hanging out at the bar or with your friends or at a party, or when you let off some steam, then you can say as much stupid shit as you want. But on set, avoid that. Be honest. Ask for help. It's not a bad thing to ask for help, whether it's a friend, a colleague, somebody who's close to you on set, on the stage, while you're rehearsing, in the audition room. Ask for help. If something is going sideways, something is going in a way that is unpredictable, unexpected, where you weren't sure if that was the right outcome, ask for help. It's like, is this okay? Am I still here? Is this still the right frame? Is this the right picture? Am I doing everything correctly? Okay, ask for help. Just be honest with, because on set, there is this, again, it's about culture. And let me know what you think of all this so far. Please, guys, I'm truly curious about your reactions and what the culture is giving me back, right? So I'm truly pumped for this live session today, because it gives me the opportunity to be just myself and spontaneous and just to share my tools and my instruments and my experiences and my observations with you guys. It's nothing more. I'm not a master at anything. I do all these mistakes on my own. Well, I'm trying to avoid them sometimes. I'm pretty aware of the fact that making mistakes and failing sometimes it's more helpful than achieving or nailing it right from the start. I don't want you to do stupid mistakes, though, or even if I want you to make great mistakes, I want you to realize that there are mistakes that are coming from a good place because you were intending to do something great and then you failed because it maybe was too great, or the expectations were too high, or the stakes were too high, or you tried to exceed your abilities too much, right? And sometimes we can't cope with our own ambitions. When we fail by doing that, that's a good failing. That's a good mistake. That's something that we need to do, that is vital, that is absolutely necessary to achieve greatness. I'm not talking about those mistakes. As you can see, the mistakes I'm talking here, the things that you need to avoid, those errors, there are things that just drain energy, that will not help you to clear the path, to really go for your ambition, to really go and aim for that big goal. And on that path of clarity, of knowing where you need to go and what your purpose is and what your talents are and your skills and everything that we've done previously to kind of achieve that, or be in the position of trying to get to the top, to that summit point, everything that happens there during that mission, of course, we can slip up. Of course, we can do some mistakes. Of course, things can happen that are unexpected, right? It's not about being God. It's about being human and having fun in the process and admitting the human side of us, that personal being that fucks up sometimes, but he fucks up because he has an ambition. He has an ambition because he has a goal. He has a goal because he wants to achieve something. He wants to achieve something because he has passion. He has passion because he loves doubts and asking questions. He loves asking questions because he needs knowledge. We need knowledge because we want to be greater. So you see, it's just becoming better. That's what we're aiming at. And when we are failing because we're aiming at greatness, it's sincere and truthful and honest and resonance, greatness that comes from a good place, from a good heart, because you want to impact people. Failing during that mission is not failing. Again, like Johnny Depp said, if I fail, then I've learned. It's okay to fail. Nobody wants us to be perfect. And I know, because I feel this notion coming up more and more and more with my students, with my clients, with some colleagues of mine. Everybody wants to be perfect, right? Because in acting, there is this paradox. Everything needs to be timed, right? A good break, a sip of water, thinking, reflecting, going back to the lens, talking again, greeting somebody. Everything is timed. Everything is locked in and synced in perfectly. But it happens because we've trained it beforehand and then we fail. And now it looks flawless and perfect. That's what we want to achieve. We want to achieve the notion of knowing exactly where every station is and what every station means and how we want to fill every little station of our movement, of our lines with life, with emotion, with a purpose. And then sometimes we can slip up, but it's not the desire of our ego. It's not egocentrically driven because I want to, shine as being this perfect, immaculate being. Nobody goes to the movies to see and watch immaculate beings at work. We want to see people fail. We want to see people have quarrels with themselves, turmoils, doubts, questions. We want to see people plunge into darkness and resurrect themselves and shine even brighter like the phoenix out of the ashes, being reborn, the cycle of life. The hero goes out because he has a desire. It doesn't mean he wants to be perfect. He has a desire. He wants to become somebody else. He needs that he has to face something that kind of elevates him more and more. And he needs to ask certain questions. And of course, he needs to avoid certain mistakes. But again, two ways of doing a mistake. I think Hegel, the German philosopher, he was the one that said that kind of it kind of said that, I think, for the first time in this way, even though I think it's a phrase that is older than humanity, but I think he kind of put it into context by saying the only error that we can do is to be afraid of doing something because of a mistake, right? Sometimes we exclude ourselves from greatness because we want to be perfect right from the start, and that's why we're not starting. That's why we're not making the first step, and that's the error of believing that, of being afraid of not being perfect. That's not the mission, being perfect here. The mission is to know exactly that there will be a surprise coming up. And guess what? The surprise is the momentum that changes everything. So we need to look out for that surprise. We need to be sure that surprise is in there. And we can't be surprised by being perfect, right? So just be honest. What's not working? Don't be superficial. You need help? Ask for help. Whether it's on set or even beforehand. Everybody on set wants you to be great. Everybody. Even the camera wants you to be great. And a camera is not even a human being. It is operated by a human being, but even the camera that is just a mechanical product wants you to be great. Everybody on set wants you to be the best. Why? Because if you're the best, the other one is the best, the other one is the best as well, the other one is the best, and the overall product is the best. So everybody has another job, right? And everybody gets applauded. Everybody on set wants to shine. Don't deny the other people on set to shine. Don't deny the people in your environment to shine. Don't deny the director to shine. Everybody wants a space. Everybody wants to shine. Don't have all the answers. You don't. So don't pretend that you have them. Ask for help. Avoid the mistake of being superficial and not asking for help if you need it, and avoid the mistake of denying the people around you on set and your culture the momentum, the moment, the opportunity to shine. They want to shine as well. It's called show business for a reason. Everybody wants to show something. So let everybody have his moment, her moment. Ask for help. Somebody's helping you. Say thank you. He had his moment. You had your moment. Beautiful. That's the exchange. That's culture. If you know all the answers, you don't need help. And if you're just perfect and immaculate, you're boring. Nobody wants to see perfection. That's fascism, right? That's not art. It's not movie making. Consequentially, be respectful. Because sometimes we're nervous. Sometimes we don't want to admit that we don't know something. Sometimes because we are in a business where everybody's looking great, because we are part of entertainment industry where everybody tries to be perfect in front of the camera, because he've explored all, or she explored all the boundaries of the scenes and all that. And it's really hard to kind of understand the difference of being great because you admit humanity, and being great because you're just born perfect. Because you're just born perfect doesn't exist. That's Greek mythology. Very interesting, but it's not helpful when we're talking about acting. In a way, yes, as a lore, but it's the point. You get the point, right? If you are a Greek god already, you don't need to go to your audition. You're a god already, right? We want to achieve that godlike greatness by being a novice and starting the challenge and the quest and acquiring more and more knowledge. We want to get there, but if we are born this way, we don't need to go to the audition or play any other character. We're already the best, so it's kind of boring, right? Nobody wants to see that. So if we ask for help, be respectful. Avoid the mistake of being arrogant on set, even if you are very, very successful, because you never know when tables are turning, what's happening next. In a couple of years, somebody who is just an assistant to the director is the head of the production company. In a couple of years, your driver that you treated badly all the time is actually the son of the studio boss. And all of a sudden, your studio boss needs to decide who to cast for the next big budget production. And your driver that you were treating badly the whole time, being the son of the studio boss, tells his father, this guy is a prick, don't cast him, he treats everybody badly. Boom, your career is over. Be respectful to everybody, but not because you need to be afraid that somebody is gonna badmouth you otherwise. It's the culture. Everybody on set wants you to shine. So, if you need help, ask for it and be helped. But then again, also be respectful to the people and say, thank you. Thank you for the costumes. Thank you for this great makeup. Thank you for giving me the lines so promptly. Thank you for helping me out with this decision. Thank you for adding a new idea to my toolbox. Thank you for, letting me change the perspective on this. Thank you. Right? Be respectful. Say thank you. There is a great acting and film, Michael Caine. I always mention him. I know some people out there might think, man, does this guy read any other books? I do. I do. I got some other books here. Michael Caine is one of my all-time faves, and he has some great examples in his book. And once he was in the studio lot of Warner Brothers while he was in his prime. He was just starting out as a young gun, and he was, studio lot of Warner Brothers production company in LA is huge. So he was always using the shuttle to get from one studio to the next. And guess what? The driver was one of the studio bosses, but he didn't know that. By then, he was just, a young actor starting out. So eventually, also tourists were hopping on that shuttle, and they were asking Michael Caine for some autographs. And he was always friendly, always complying, always kind of signing autographs and taking pictures and being friendly to everybody. And the studio boss who was driving the shuttle, he was recognizing that, wow, what a great professional, what a great human being. I will give him like a big part in my next movie, right? So always be respectful. You don't know who the relevant players are. If you're in a bar and you're just sitting there having a great conversation with somebody comes in and he looks like nothing, you don't know who this guy or who this person is. Be respectful. Look around on set. You can't find any. If you look around on set and if you can't find any idiot, if you can't find any stupid person or anybody who behaves badly, it's probably you. You are the idiot. So don't be the idiot. Be polite. Be sincere. Be honest. Ask for help and be respectful and say thank you when people give you the correct answer. And even if not, be respectful. Thank you so much. Right? Tables are turning, wheels are turning, always. Again, it's about the culture. We all, on set, we all want one thing, and that's so great about it. And we all want a great product to come true, to come alive. So if we are respectful, we get treated in a respectful way back, and it's just easier to work. It's such a nice experience. You feel appreciated and accomplished when you're going home and say, hey, that was a great day. I'm not talking about being too gentle or too careful, or it's always the right measure. It's always the right compensation of forces that is needed to create something enrichent. One of my most favorite words. I'm sorry, guys, but you get my point. Avoid making this mistake. Don't be arrogant. It's no use. Again, waste of energy. Be respectful with the people. Even if they're just low key positions, you never know who they are and what their struggles are, what their problems are, what they are going through to be there. For them, maybe it's an honor. Maybe they drive all through the country to be there, right? And then you kind of brush them off and treat them badly. Why should you do that? Right? First of all, you don't know who they are. Second of all, you don't know their hustle, their problems, their struggles. And third, most importantly, they're part of the culture. If you treat 1% of the culture badly, it's already less great. It's already crumbling. You already are creating the cracks that will actually blow the dam away, right? And let it implode. You don't want that. Be the fortifier, not the denigrator, right? Fortify your success by being respectful, so you create that aura of greatness all around you, even if you're a newbie, if you're starting out, because humility and dignity, and respectfulness, these are the basis of a great character. Again, it's the private being and the professional being speaking here. Always try to be very, very friendly, very, very polite, very respectful, and have patience. Right? On set, it's important to have that patience. Maybe the answer is not coming right away. And like Martina Lehmann is saying, again, thank you so much for adding another very great comment here. Are there any mistakes you should avoid in your show reel, especially at the beginning? Yes, exactly what I'm saying right now. Like, this thing of being respectful also goes for your character. I see so many characters that are not treated with dignity, not with the right humility. They are treated in a superficial way. People are not taking their lines seriously enough. They're not investigating enough to kind of extract the real essence. And that has a lot to do with being respectful also with the words of the author. So analyze the words carefully and respectfully. Even if it's a soap opera, somebody has written those words beforehand. Somebody has put in some time and some effort and some energy to make those words come true. So you should be respectful also for the lines. And if you change something, change it in the wording, change it. You can do everything, but let the essence live, right? Always add dignity and humility to that, and have respect for everything that is happening on set, especially for the lines, right? For the words. And for the people who are working with you in the minor positions, especially in the minor positions. If you treat your driver as good as your CEO, then you have learned something very valuable. And last, and not least, but not least, one of the mistakes you should avoid making is not having fun. And that sounds like, what is he saying? Yeah, because sometimes we forget fun. Truly mean that. We have the lines, we have our preparation, we have our body, right? With so many things we have to think of, being punctual and all that. And that can get us into a place where we are over eager to achieve, where we are over eager to be great, to be the best. And that kind of translates into stiffness sometimes, into severeness sometimes. It freezes our mimical expression even sometimes when we are over eager to achieve, when it's not loose and it's not transparent, it's not breathy anymore, right? When we need some space to the character, we need some room between us and the character. If we take everything too seriously, if we're trying to execute everything in a mechanical way, then we lose the habit of playing. It's a screenplay, right? Press play. It should be fun. Play. Feel always the necessity of letting that inner child, that innocent being inside of yourself, also to have a voice, right? To be vocal in this, to be part of this. Hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. You're respecting all the vectors, all the datas, all the parameters. But hey, what about me? What about fun? What about expressing it? What about, beating up the place? And what about being just, hilarious and great and dance and sing and no holds barred, right? What about that? Right? What about playing? So play, have fun. Don't forget that. Avoid the mistake of being, too serious about it, I would say. Respect everything, of course, but always take the fun into the game, right? Don't lose that perspective, because if you are having fun, if you genuinely enjoying yourself while you're reproducing the lines and you're performing the actions, your audience will have fun as well. They will enjoy what you are doing because you are enjoying what you're doing. Makes sense, doesn't it? So when you have fun, the others will appreciate your work as well. If you're too serious and too stiff and too, this is serious business here, right? Politicians and thin lips and you know freezing down with your mimic, and no, I have to come over and across as a strong woman here, as a fighter, as a warrior, as a strong man, right? I can't allow myself to be a playful child all of the sudden. No, you need to be. That's the number one necessity. You need to feel the urge of being that playful child. That's why we are filling up somebody else's shoes. That's why we are walking with somebody else's shoes in this moment. The imaginary life needs playfulness, needs that childishness, needs that irrationality, and that is always linked with fun. Avoid the mistake of taking this whole endeavor too serious. It's show business, it's screenplays, it's you playing a role. Interpreting, of course, but with that playful attitude, right? The tendency needs to be that you are open to all the solutions. If you are just going in one direction, you're closing yourself down from some great other solutions. And that will result in a very narrowed down way of performing. That's maybe okay for some roles, and it may be legitimate, according to your skill set, but it really closes you down in a very small niche. If you let that childfulness always shine through, even if you are playing, or even more so if you're playing like evil or mean characters, so some dominant characters, when you insert that even into into the stories of these types of characters, you will see how that will kind of spark and brighten the picture way more, and will give way more temperature and way more interesting connotations to the character. And that's what we want to see. Ultimately, we want to see many nuances and many facets. We want to get involved, right? So have fun, enjoy the process, even if you're failing, enjoy it. You've learned, it's all good. Go on. Sometimes life behaves as if it has watched too many bad movies. That's from Humphrey Bogart. So don't get too soaked in by negativity, by world affairs, by politics, by other agendas. Always keep a healthy distance to everything. And you can only achieve that by always looking for the fun. I'm not saying ridiculousness. I'm not saying denigrating everything. I'm not saying being cynical. You can be that, but fun, I mean, like genuine fun, exploring all this. If you have fun, then it's no work. Then work is fun. Then it's just a habit of exploring and going into different directions. Keep a wide band of possibilities available in your arsenal so you can deploy all the instruments necessary to really impact the audience when you are playing out that imaginary life. Again, it's playing out, not executing out, right? It's playing out. That has a light connotation. There is something that is etherical and also volatile, and that's okay, and contradictional. Yes, beautiful. The more the better. But you can only achieve that by having that healthy distance, by having that self irony about yourself. And that puts a smile on your face. I'm sorry. That puts a smile on your face, and that smile will result in dopamine rush, will emit it by your brain, and your system loosens up. Your body movement becomes uh, more genuine and more easy to follow and less stiff, and the whole thing becomes a very organic and joyful process that is great to watch and entertaining, right? If you're not entertained, the audience won't be entertained. So, guys, so far, if you have any other questions, please let me know. That would be like the first chunk of today's live session, all the mistakes that you need to avoid. And now I want to get into a different department. And I would say this is the department of, you know, how to be creative, how to be imaginative. And I want to do this as quick as possible, but I think it's truly important because I'm not quite sure if people realize what creativity actually means and how you can achieve that, even if you deem yourself not a creative person at all, which is quite impossible. If you're an actor, you need to be a creative person and you need to train that. Is there any way to train imagination and creativity? Yes, there is. Here's some tips on how to do that, based on personal experience, based on the resources I've read, and based also on the privilege I've had by exploring, by having had a great environment always backing me up when I was always looking for different ways of expressing myself, whether that was my mother, whether that was the school I'm in, or the friends I was involved with, the environment. They always kind of encouraged me to be eclectic. And I want to encourage you to be eclectic. And that doesn't mean to lose your product or to disperse your energy. It kind of means to assemble your energy even more and to learn how to avoid making certain mistakes by using your imagination and your creativity, by placing in something that was unexpected and surprising. You can avoid the mistake of being boring and just an executor and just a deliverer of certain lines and a replicator of certain actions that were scripted beforehand and of preconceived actions that were expected from you to see and to do, right? Because imagination and creativity is what makes us so highly paid. In the end, they're not paying us for just executing or replicating or repeating in the same fashion. They are paying us because of what we got in here. And the more movies we make, the more experience we accumulate, the more creative solutions we've discovered in the process, the more solutions and we can offer for our next projects, the more we will earn, because the production company now sees, oh, look at her. She's a pro. She has so many different instruments in her toolbox. She can go so many different ways. We can entrust her with the lead roles. She will find a solution in every situation we might place her in the next couple of months while we're shooting this big movie. We entrust her fully to always find something that will spark the imagination of the audience, because she is creative. And yes, we can train creativity. Like Jack Nicholson once said, you need to do something that is unexpected, and that unexpected thing that is based on your creativity that was explored beforehand with certain instruments and certain talents and disciplines that you put into action as a habit, as a ritual. And what I mean by that, I will tell you in a second. So, what is a great way of staying creative? Here are some very quick tips and instruments. Probably I'm going to do like an extra video on this, but I think it's important to mention it today because both things really could go hand in hand. Like, avoid certain mistakes or certain errors. And why are we doing certain errors? Why are we doing certain mistakes? Because there was no other solution available for us in the moment. Right? We were going down the wrong path. We were not realizing it was the wrong path. And then once we were stuck in the dead end, we didn't know how to get out of the dead end because something was lacking in our toolbox. So you see, you can avoid certain mistakes by being creative in the first place and not going down a road which, just by watching and just perceiving it right now, right away, you say, this is a dead end. I don't need to go down this road. I know exactly that this is not useful, that this is a mistake, that this potentially that can cost me the audition or even my career. So I'm not going to do that. Why? Because you've trained. Jack Nicholson. I'm highly recommend you to read his biography. It's probably one of the best biographies out there. Probably one of the best acting tool books that you can read in your life, besides auditioning for Michael Churtleff and other some other great resources. But his book is really good. It's outstanding, and I'm gonna link to that book in a couple of seconds. You will see why. So, like I said, what pays out is to be creative, right? That's what the studio bosses are paying us for. And we can avoid the mistake of being a boring actor by being creative, by having a high grade imagination, by having something to offer that nobody else can offer. If we are always a step ahead because we're always bringing something new to the table, we will receive more and more roles, and we will book more and more characters, and we will name more and more auditions because we always have a different solutions. We always have a different solution. If we always come up with the same skill set, with the same program, if we are not expanding our creativity, our imagination, then we might, go into wrong directions, and we might make the same mistakes over and over again. And doing the same mistakes over and over again, but expecting a different result, that's actually the definition of craziness, right? Of mental illness, like Albert Einstein said. So you don't want to be schizophrenic. You want to be a great inventor of new lives, right? And want to spark the audience every time you get called to action. So avoid the mistake of being a boring actor. It's one of the, avoid the mistake of being mediocre. How can we do that? By being creative, by expanding our imagination. Horizon, Horus is rising. The sun is rising. It's illuminating the space, the world, the universe, nature, the environment, and everybody who lives in that system. So, very stupid thing to do in order to be creative is to wake up before everybody else wakes up. And that doesn't mean that you have to wake up like a Marine at 4:30 in the morning, but wake up a bit early, a bit earlier than everybody else. Wake up a bit earlier, fix your breakfast, work out, and then you have maybe an hour before everybody else wakes up, or maybe just in half an hour, or maybe just 20 minutes. In these 20 minutes, when you are totally clear, nobody is wanting something from you, and you're not infested already by noise and pollution and problems and things that you have to resolve. That state of clarity you can gain only in this very instant, only in this very moment. And that state of clarity brings forward new ideas. When you're thinking about your audition today, and you wake up a bit earlier than you are used to, and you're doing all the things you need to, and then you have like 20 minutes more time to explore the role. 20 minutes already will give you so many more solutions to the audition, to what you want to do and how you want to deploy it and how you want to show it. And it sparks your brain, because all of a sudden your brain is like, oh wow, we're doing something else. I'm very attentive now. Why is he waking up? Why is she waking up earlier than she's used to? Because something is important to her. Now I'm very attentive. Now I'm directing all of my attention to what's coming up. So I'm even more focused. And that's a great way of creating more ideas and more solutions. Subsequently, that's creativeness. And that's exactly the opposite of being boring. If you avoid the mistake of always doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, like Albert Einstein said, right? So if you don't see that, if you see that your career is not picking up, if you don't get any traction in the business, if entertainment industry is not responding to you, then you have to change something. You have to be creative. You have to find new solutions. Avoid the mistakes you did beforehand. How can you do that? By changing your schedule. Wake up earlier. And meditate. Yes, seriously, meditate. Put on some great Zen music, light up an incense, sit down with yourself and breathe. There's a great meditation, by the way, on my channel. It's the 5-minute active meditation. Is it called that way? Yes, we shot it 2 years ago. It's a great meditation. I got a few meditation. I got a whole meditation playlist. And why is meditation important? Because it you know it you know watch the meditation and let me know what you think about that, because meditating gives you a different standpoint. It gives you a different perspective. It's kind of dropping out of the system. And once you get acquainted with meditation and with the practice, and it becomes a ritual and a habit, and you understand it more and more, how your breathing techniques and the breathing patterns work. Once you understand it more and more, you become more acquainted of looking at yourself, and then also looking at your problems, looking at the mistakes that you're doing frequently or currently, or all the times, right? And then all of a sudden, maybe you find a different solution. Maybe you find a different approach, a different leverage. Maybe there is just this little moment that you take for yourself that gives you the stability, the self awareness of who you are. Again, it's not about functioning all the time and being perfect all the time. Admit to yourself that you're just a human being. Don't make the mistake of being superficial with your product, with your talent, with your force. Meditate a little bit, and you will see how much more positivity you will get out, even out of the darkest moments of your life, because again, they will teach you a very valuable lesson. So meditating is kind of the answer to many, many things. And I started a couple of years ago. We started in acting school and drama school back then. We started also with meditations, but I wasn't really taking it seriously. I have to be honest here. And I really started taking it seriously like 4 or 5 years ago. I started like really kind of doing more and more meditations, understanding how can I understand myself better out of the context on which I'm basing my everyday life. Anyways, is there another way of looking at myself? Is there any other way of resolving some traumas, some problems, some inconsistencies, except like the usual stuff and training and all that? Meditating can be a great solution to that. And especially when you wake up a bit earlier and everybody's still sleeping, like the world is still pretty quiet, even if you're living in a great town, and you did all your routines before, and then you just take your shower, or even before you take your shower, and just meditate like 5, 10 minutes, and see how much that kind of lifts up your whole spirit. And it gives you courage, it gives you strength, it gives you purpose, it gives you a great calm breath. You kind of relax, you have more dopamine, you have more consistency. Meditating is very powerful tool. Only can recommend you to do so, also to be more creative and avoid being the mistake of rushing into an audition and being nervous, right? Meditating calms down your nerve, it gives you more space and more distance also to the things that are happening. And it kind of puts everything into a context, right? What is really important? It's your health, it's your happiness, it's your control over your actions. And meditation helps you to do that, and also be more creative and imagining. Because when you're closing down your eyes and you're meditating, one of the missions when you're meditating is to stay with yourself, to not let your mind wander around, right? And not having too many distracting thoughts. And that will also help you tremendously to focus on set and when you're auditioning, especially when it's very packed and very noisy and very loud and kind of a distracting environment. Like a habit of meditation gives you also the strength to kind of go through um, dark moments and also concentrate even when things are crumbling down. And it gives you kind of a positive, boost. Great, 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 absolutely great to to spark up the light inside of yourself, right? Meditate. Also read great resources, read great books, get inspired by great stories, great biographies, by other solutions. Read, you know, and when I say read, I don't mean tablet. I don't mean computer. I mean books. These things, they are like very thin slices of wood, and there are some letters printed on those slices, and they are actually foldable and very light. You can take them with you wherever you are, and also take some notes on those thin slices of wood. It's like the internet, but it's more narrowed down in terms of on the topics these thin slices of woods are dealing with. Books are great, right? Try them once in a while, help you to boost your creativity, to indulge yourself, to plunge into different worlds. Absolutely read great books, specific books books about techniques, about instruments, about great teachers of the past, about legends in your respective field, in your niche, and where you want to achieve greatness, right? See how the greats before you became great. And that inspires you to kind of mimic that and copy and steal, like Pablo Picasso said, steal from those legends in your respective field and in your field of expertise. What do you want to achieve? What kind of style do you want to portray? What kind of solutions do you want to offer? What kind of mistakes you want to avoid? You can avoid a lot of mistakes by reading the right books, the right resources, by knowing exactly what you need to do. There are many, many great books an actor can read that will help you to self improve, to teach you on how to be more creative and avoid certain mistakes and going different roads that nobody else is going down. And that kind of stands out more than anything else because you are making different choices now and you are not afraid of making any mistakes because you know exactly what drives your actions all of a sudden. When you read the right resources, it's fundamental because you get inspired, because sometimes we have a great idea but we don't trust ourselves that much. But when we reflect with another great person, with another legend that apparently had the same idea like you, like me, like everybody, and now all of a sudden you got this legitimate source, right? That is kind of consecrating your idea as a great idea, where you beforehand you weren't really sure if it was a great idea. All of a sudden, you get the affirmation by somebody who's respectively way higher in your field of expertise, and now you feel free to kind of deploy that what you had in your mind and avoiding the mistakes of not going into a certain direction because you were afraid of making a mistake. You see, coming back again to that principle of Hegel. And here's another thing um, that you should do in order to avoid mistakes and being more creative and be more imaginative, and that's writing. And I know that sucks, but the relationship, I always say that, right? Even on my the COACHMC Instagram account, I have like a post about on how important writing is, right? If you transcribe your lines, right? First of all, the relationship between your hand, your finger, your arm, your eyes, and your brain, that triangular thing that is going on, that process is magical. The way you process information, if you write, is just enormous. It's just incredible how it will boost everything inside of your system to become a better actor, to become a better artist. Like, it can start even if you are a very lazy writer, even if you don't like, I'm talking about handwriting again, right? On paper. Again, these very strange, very thin slices of wood, paper, right? Write with a pencil or a pen on paper, because that tactile feeling of having something in your hand that you can smell, that you can touch, that kind of illuminates back, that has a certain texture, again, that's magical. And it creates deep and very fundamental archives inside of your mental palace, where you can store in information that you can use for the rest of your life. Once you transcribe things, once you get closer and more acquainted to things by writing them down, by journaling, by writing your objectives, by drawing them, whatever. But use paper and pen, or paper or pen and paper and pen, because that combination is magical, right? Books are something magical, and writing kind of gives you so many different options. I wasn't really I wasn't really sure in the beginning. I was at drama school once, and we had this workshop about creative writing. And it was me, of course, asking, like, what is the reason for me as an actor to start writing? I mean, I want to read something that was written beforehand by the author, and then I want to replicate that, right? I want to make that happen. I don't need to write it beforehand. But here are a few advantages if you start writing that will boost your career in ways you can't even imagine right now, and that will help you to avoid certain mistakes that other people are doing because they're lazy and not focused. And that comes also because they don't know how to write. So here's the first and a big advantage. Of course, it expands your imagination, right? Sounds so banal, but it is. Because when you are writing, you are creating a world, right? If there's a story that makes sense, you're creating and placing that story in an imaginary world. And that's exactly what the author does, right? So you have, first of all, it expands your imagination, and then you have a perception for the work of the author, which makes you respect the author way more, which goes back to one of my advices beforehand, to be respectful with the words of the author. So see, everything kind of, it cycles back. Everything is based on that circular momentum of what culture is based on. It's everybody is part of that. It's the round table, right? Everybody has the same place, the same segment. It's not a vertical structure. It's not a hierarchy. It's culture. It's give and take. It's circular. It encompasses everybody and anything. So writing helps you to kind of understand yourself, of being part of that culture, and not just a replicator and the deployer, and then I go back home. No, you're part of that. By writing down your thoughts, or by writing like some crazy stories, you understand, first of all, what the author needs to do in order to give us an entertaining script that will work, right? Because based on that script, people will invest millions of dollars, sometimes billions of dollars, to make that dream, to make that vision come true. Think about Game of Thrones, books, yeah, just books. And then all of a sudden, it's this incredible success because somebody was recognizing the value of that world, because somebody wrote down something amazing. Write down something amazing. It helps you expand your imagination. We need to train our bodies, yes, but there's nothing more important than train our minds and our brains. And there are just so many games that we can deploy and do. But writing is a great exercise, is a great discipline to do that. And it's a great key to great acting also. In the beginning, I wasn't so sure about that. But I started journaling, I started writing, I started drawing my thoughts, I started coming down with ideas, I started writing screenplays, and I started also becoming better as an actor. And I didn't understand the correlation. What was happening to me? But because the sedimentation of the written word started sparking new flowers inside of myself, new creative flowers that, were becoming instruments all of a sudden that I could use, that I wasn't aware of. Because at drama school, nobody really teaches you. I mean, yeah, there are some workshops that you can do, like creative writing, screenplay writing, and all that. But if you're an actor, you don't really think about writing as a tool of becoming a better actor, but you should. It trains also your focus, of course, because you need to be patient. You need to correct. It needs to, yourself, and the line, the sentence, the story needs to make sense. So you train your focus on becoming better and better. It calms down your nerves. Again, that's a great advantage inside of the audition room or when you're on set. It also gives you the focus to listen. Because if you're writing something down, you're listening to yourself. Does this work? And then when you're on set and you're applying and replicating and answering and doing and giving out your lines, does this work? Does this make sense? You will have a way more profound response from yourself, because now you realize that there is a second and a third layer applied to that because you trained it for yourself. So many actors are enamored with the idea of, like, I wait at home from a call from my agent, I get my sides, I print them out, I read them, I memorize them, and then I just go there and just replicate them. But that's already a good process, but it's just the superficial process that's going on. Now imagine you add, I wouldn't say superficial, that's the wrong word, I'm sorry. I would say that's just that's the surface. That's a great surface. But if we look at the fertile ground beneath that surface, underneath that surface, that's writing. That's where everything blossoms up. And we can understand how we can change the lines of the wording. If we talking about improv, how can we do a great improv if we don't have many words, if we don't know our vocabulary? When we start writing, we train our focus, but also it expands our vocabulary, because now all of a sudden we try to find new words and a better word and a better synonym, a better associate meaning. And that will also help us when we're improvising on set or in front of the camera when we're auditioning. So you see how manifold already that process of writing is for a great actor. Focus, like Steve Martin said, is this vital piece of a puzzle, for building a successful career. That architecture, and that also comes from writing. Write down your thoughts, journal, write down some screenplays, write down some great stories, some shorts, whatever. Um, if you are spending like an hour a day in creating something out of nothing, right? Writing a new story every day, like an hour. Oh, I got a new idea. That long-lasting concentration will build up like a critical mass and will become more substantial and more substantial and more substantial. And all of a sudden for you, it's not hard anymore to focus and concentrate and to go down to the core of things, even when hell breaks loose all around you. Right? Some other actors might not have that advantage, because the more you write, the stronger you become. Your concentration muscle becomes. The more active and vivid the focus process becomes. And the more attached you are to the words, the more you understand what they mean. And on top, that writing is also increase your memory skill, of course, because the more you write, the more you memorize, the more new words you put in, the more archive you create, the more storage you create into your mental palace, which will help you tremendously when it comes down to memorizing the lines and avoiding the mistakes of not doing it properly. It also makes you more empathic with the words, with the work. It's not, again, if you're just printing out, right? It's okay, I'm learning, memorizing, but it's still an abstract procedure. It's still an abstract, world. And writing helps us to get way quicker to the core of things and acquainted with the lines and get more involved with the script. Because if we spend a couple of hours during the week of writing something creative out of nothing, creating that, now first of all, that it's great for our self-esteem, right? We are proud of that. It's not just replicating. It's not just that slightly, one or two dimensional way of receiving the lines and then replicating them. No, I'm creating something out of my own. I'm not waiting to get called. I'm not waiting for any line. I'm creating the line now. And again, it gives you more space, more freedom, more ability to control where you want to go. Spending time with your writings and spending time with writers, reflecting on what you've written. It gives you also the ability to get to other people in a different way. And it will also help you tremendously to formulate better emails and to send out some great CVs and some great resumes, and great letters will still impact people, whether they're handwritten, of course, or as an email. So writing ability and being polite and being serious and being professional and expanding that talent will help you tremendously also to get to the right people in the industry and get to know them from a different view. And this empathy with the lines, with what the author has written, gives you a way closer bond, a connection that is truthful and very strong with what the author had in mind. Also, you get more meaning out of the lines, out of the text, by writing yourself, because all of a sudden you realize, oh, now I know what he means. Now I'm getting where she's hinting at. This now I understand way better. It gives you a way more profound access to the lines, to the words of the authors, and that is the life that you're interpreting in the end. So it's the material that becomes more truthful and more vivid, and not as abstract and two-dimensional and flat. It's just printing out. It helps in so many ways. Right. If you want to become a better actor, even if that sounds crazy, but it's really true, because it also teaches you to listen, because you're listening to what you're reading after you have written it down, right? You're listening if it makes sense. And usually we are very hard with ourselves. Usually we are the hardest judge to overcome, right? We are very, very judgmental about our own work. When we're writing something down, we're reading out loud, then we're kind of judging ourselves. Is this really working? Like, we need to listen Is this word in the right place? Is this expression the right expression? Does this come out in a way that I've meant it to come out? All these things. Again, it gives you a second and a third and a fourth layer to your acting endeavor, because all of a sudden you understand way more facets. It becomes way more profound. We know how important it is for actors to be able to listen, right? Like I said beforehand, like this is one of the great mistakes that we by all means need to avoid, to just listen superficially, because that can come also across as being an arrogant person, even if we're just nervous in that moment and we kind of all over the place, right? That helps us. That is a great training, to listen, to be in that moment, to listen to that person, because we've listened beforehand to what we've written down. Good fiction is happening in between the lines. Like Johann Sebastian Bach said, my music is happening in between the notes. The space is giving the harmony, not the note itself. So the thought that is underneath the line is really telling me something, not the line itself. And that I have to understand. And especially when I'm young and starting out as an actor, writing right from the start gives me way more perspective, gives me way more profoundness, and way quicker and faster access to what the author actually meant. And it gives me the ability to listen to it and not being superficial. Because here's the thing, and I don't want to be judgmental. Again, when I'm saying superficial, it's not because we're superficial or stupid beings. It's because we are bombarded every day by so many words, right? Media outlets, movies, radios, tablets, iPhones. Words are coming down on us on a daily basis. Way too much information, way too many words. So it's hard for us to focus and really listen to the substantial and to the important information. It's hard to filter out the information that is vital to us, whether that's on set as the professional being or in our private life as the private being. Writing gives us more space, and it enables us to filter the vital and important information way quicker. Even like to filter it, to understand what is good information. Like in the first place, what is good information? If we really listen, and we have the capability and the ability to do so, because we are writing and we are listening to ourselves, we know exactly what works or not, then we can understand who is pointing into a good direction and who is just using us. Yeah, it's writing also gives you the ability to flesh out what's an interesting tale, because we need a media diet, but we also need a writing diet. Like what is good literature? We need to kind of understand what good literature is, and on what principle is this good literature based upon. We can only understand that, or not only understand it, but we can understand it better if we are writers ourselves. I don't mean that we need to have that ambition to write great screenplays for big budget movies, but just for the sake of becoming a better actor, writing down stories, writing down thoughts, journaling will help us tremendously to kind of understand what good literature, good wording, good rhythm, good pace, good sound is, because we listen to it. We become empathic with the content. We get way more focused and calm down. We have the ability to store more and more information, and it provides us also with more opportunities in the end, because writing gives us a very powerful tool on how to reach important and relevant people in our business, and also, yeah, to create something that can be sold. Creating revenue through writing. You can't wait for your luck. Maybe sometimes you need to write your own screenplay. Think about Sylvester Stallone. He was a screenplay writer before he was anything. He wrote Rocky. Sylvester Stallone, wrote Rocky. Nobody else. He sold his dog, right? And he bought his dog back, right? Because he had no money. But once he sold his first script, he had a foot into entertainment industry. He had a foot in the door of entertainment industry. That became true. This legend of Sylvester Stallone became true because of a great screenplay that he wrote. Putting the words together, creating that story, creating that world, creating that character, creating all these lines made him a better actor. But first of all, made him a creator, because he wasn't, it's a different entrance. You're creating a world and you're placing yourself into that world. And the ability of doing so is is tremendously important also for building our own character. We should write a book during our lifetime and plant a tree and build a house and create a family. Yeah. So let's write a book. Let's write a great story. It's some amazing stuff, writing and creating a new world. And looking at this like a couple of years later, I said, this is my story. It's still there. This is still a world I can open up. Like the drawer, I can go in and then plunge into the world of Narnia. And there are many, many, many other different reasons, many important other reasons why writing is so important and how it boosts your creativity. And there are great, great books also on being creative and avoiding mistakes, like Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon, for example. That's a great book. And The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron is also a great book. You should read, guys, by all means. And of course, On Writing by Stephen King. Great book. I can only recommend. So many interesting solutions, right? And when we're talking about creativity, we're talking about solutions on how to avoid mistakes, but also we're talking about freeing yourself from the chains of what is expected from you. Because ultimately, in the end, this live session is about to reach its end. It's to don't give a shit about what other people think about you, right? And you can only do that by being truly free. And all these instruments I've given you today, all these little and big tips, and let me know if they work for you, of what you think of them and all that, they're just there to make that happen, to isolate you from the noise, to cancel the background voices, the negative, judgmental, critical voices in the back of your head, and just to be an outstanding performer and to give a shit about what other people think, because that's not important. It's important that you do the thing with profoundness, with humility, with dignity, with decency, with force, with passion, with love, and also some irrationality, but that you can always stand behind your choices without any exception. And that will build your greatness. That will leave a lasting impression. That will leave the mark. People will remember that because you're adding something important. And the more you do for yourself, the more important your product becomes. Don't be lazy. Don't be scared. Welcome the challenge and be a great human being in this game of culture, in this game of entertainment industry. We have a privilege of inspiring people. Are you getting what that means, being inspired? Going to the movies as one person and coming out of the movies and being another person. Because there was a transformation going on. In 2 hours, you can change the life of someone else. And all these instruments hopefully will help you to achieve that a little bit. And if they help you, if you think they're valuable, please let me know and subscribe to our channel. That makes this whole endeavor worthy. And share this with the people you deem worthy and valuable as well, so we can grow and become better all together as a culture and expand our networks and become this community of great communicators, because we need to communicate before we cater. Right? We need to communicate what we need, what our desires and wishes are and inconsistencies are, and kind of compensate them and become better and greater in the process. It's not about being perfect. It's about being funny and entertaining and learning. And ultimately, is there anything better to get paid while you're learning and having fun, while you're impressing people with your expression? I don't think so. So thank you so much, guys. I think this live session, if you don't have any other further questions, is slowly but safely and steadily coming to an end. I hope I see you next time. Check out my other adventures on Instagram. It's the Coach MC. DM me if you got any further questions, any comments to this. Also contact me through my website, thecoachmc.studio, to get a free trial lesson with me. Or if you want to book me for an audition, if you need a coaching, if you want to step up your imagination game, if you want to step up your creativity game, if you want to avoid certain mistakes in the future, let's talk about it. Let's analyze it. Let's train them, because there's always a training, there's always a rehearsal, there's always an exercise to become better. And that's already starting with your passion, already starting. And if you watch this till the end, make sure to share this, because by now, if you're still here, it means that this is important to you. So it should be shared with somebody who's important to you, because that makes the collective grow and become better, right? So thank you so much again. I think this live session now is over. We've come to an end. Hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very, very much. And I hope I see you next time, guys. Now it's time to act.